Advice to my younger self in wedding photography and in going full time in wedding photography specifically. So we're talking about today. There's no intro. Maybe here's a light song to get you in the mood to learn about wedding photography.
Six-figure income! 10x your sales! Make this year your best year ever! ROI!
I'm a business coach, yeah.
Hopefully that was sufficient. Welcome to the show called All My Lav Mics Are Broken, and I'm going to have to get off the Wireless Go Road kit pretty soon and into that new DJI kit once it starts shipping. Talking about a topic that came up in the members group. If you're a member, come on over. Join the group. Basically, for people that manage to switch to full-time in wedding photography and those well on their way, what's one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self? Here we go. I'm going to read some of the answers that were given and then also kind of chime in with my advice as well. I had one small piece of advice on the thread, but I will do more in this video. Matt Silva says, take care of your knees. That's fair. I would say to maybe bring this more into general health. I did not drink enough water. I know this is a very stupid tip, but I did not drink enough water the first number of weddings I did, and I would leave those weddings feeling both mentally and physically exhausted. And it turns out all you have to do is make a conscious effort to drink a little bit more water, and you'll be okay, and you won't experience that wedding hangover nearly as bad. Next up, time management and financial discipline. I 100% agree with this. Lock those things into your life. I would say in terms of time management goes, really set clear boundaries of when, especially if you have a family, of when you can work and when it is not time for you to be working. And then on the financial discipline side of things, I would 100% recommend as soon as you can to start properly investing for not necessarily even a retirement, but just for your future life in whatever direction that might go in. It is nice to have money saved up. So start investing, and there's a lot of inexpensive places to do that on the internet now. It used to be that you had to go to a financial advisor, and some financial advisors, depending on which country you live in, could be potentially sketchy, that they could wear one fiduciary hat where they have to actually give you the legitimate best advice, but then they could also take that hat off and sell you things that made them the most money when they weren't, and it's very confusing. Anyways, there's a lot of good solutions out there now that manage your money at not a huge percentage, which means that you get more money. And if you're going into wedding photography, you're probably not going to be getting a retirement, anything from anyone. So you got to do that yourself. So start saving. I was fortunate. My parents forced me into it when I was like 15 years old. And I just kind of made that part of my life. And every single week, especially now with the market the way it is, I've really kind of amped up investments in terms of both for my business as well as for my personal as well. Because I don't know. And also dollar cost your way in. Don't just be like, I'm going to invest all of my life savings right now. Do it in a smarter way where you say, okay, I have $10,000 to invest right now. I'm going to do it $100 every 3 days until that $10,000 runs out, and then you'll enter the market in a more reasonable way. If you think it's at the bottom, it's not. It's going to continue to go down. My message in the thread was to bring earplugs for when the DJ goes too hard. I would say my hearing definitely took a beating in high school, and I wish that I would have known that, and I would have wore earplugs whenever I played the drums a little bit more, or a headset or something. And Sam Hurd talks about this a little bit in the wedding day that we did together, that he, whenever everything gets loud, he puts his own AirPods in and he controls his music, but also you can noise cancel out any damaging frequencies that might be coming in. I also, I had my pilot's license when I was 16, so I also have some kind of low frequency damage probably from that as well. So bit of a bummer, but protect your hearing because it doesn't really bounce back. Although hearing aid tech is getting pretty good. I'm not at that point yet, and hopefully never will be, because I definitely caught it early and started paying a little bit more attention, but definitely don't neglect your hearing. Krista says focus on Instagram and run ads. Definitely good advice. I would say, I think there's a comment a little bit later on this thread where if Instagram isn't working for you, or you just can't make it work, you don't connect with it, you don't love Reels because everything is just Reels now, figure out what actually does work for you, but we'll talk about that more in a second. I would say in terms of Instagram, I would also say, I was thinking about making a full, maybe let me know in the comments if you want a full video about this, but I was kind of thinking about the fact that with Instagram and TikTok, the TikTok still absolutely dominates when it comes to local reach. So if you're now building Reels for Instagram, or you're forced into making video content, I would recommend 100% to get on TikTok and to start posting there as well. And same rules apply. If you're making SEO content, you're making blog content, you have to make high value things that will actually be helpful for people. And you don't got to dance. You can actually just make helpful content. And if you're making that helpful content for Reels, it's going to go out kind of to a more general audience, kind of worldwide. At least this is my research. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong with this. But basically, you upload a Reel, it goes out to the world, and it kind of puts it on tiers. So it'll do a little test group of the people that follow you directly. And then if it does well with them, it goes a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you get 100 million views on your reel. What TikTok seems to do is it does that, but it also does it in a local way. So it seems like the first part of the test audience that's mixed in is a local audience, which means that if you are in a smaller city and you're making helpful content, it is way more organically likely for that content to find its way into those cell phones of people that are in the local area. So I would say if you're building stuff for Reels, do not avoid going on TikTok, because I think that it really will help accelerate the growth of your business. And I think I will make a video about that, because I think that's an important thing. It might be, I feel like it's a minute. I feel like I just made the video right there for you guys. So yeah, if you're building stuff for Reels, also put it on TikTok. TikTok is a lot more locally focused, which is very, very helpful and makes your life as a marketer easy, that you get organic local reach. That's not a thing that exists anymore, except for on TikTok. Next point, don't shoot cheap weddings. You get stuck in cheap wedding rut and you don't get amazing weddings. I will say from my experience overall, it was a necessary thing that I had to do. I was getting into the industry. I didn't know anyone. I think fortunately, most of my friends, you'll probably notice on the channel that a lot of my friends are professional wedding photographers now. They all kind of had a little bit of a step up. The fact that they could just come to nice weddings, the first or second wedding that they'd ever been to photograph. So the portfolio builds a lot faster that way. What I did, and speaking from my experience, I actually went on Craigslist. I'm thinking about writing a book about this because it was quite a hilarious journey. I went on Craigslist and I shot some weddings for free. And it was just to get out there and just to actually have some real life images in my portfolio. I very quickly after that booked some real weddings. And I think even if you are shooting inexpensive weddings that maybe aren't at your dream venue, there are always going to be images from within that day that will make it into your portfolio. The other thing you can do is that if you are in a position where maybe your rates are a little bit more expensive than someone's willing to pay, maybe you come up with a deal that, hey, I'll shoot your wedding as long as we can do a day after shoot at the location of my choosing and also the time, and you go somewhere beautiful and take some amazing portfolio images. That would be one thing that I would be doing, and while it would be beautiful and lovely to just avoid and just immediately go to the luxury wedding market, it's unfortunately not a reality for everyone, and it was not a reality for me. Lauren says, save up as much money as a cushion as you can. Don't be afraid to raise prices. So I think raising prices was another thing that was scary for me. And it was absolutely terrifying when I went above, I'm in Canada here, when I went above the $2,000 mark. I think I was at $1,890 for a very much longer than I should be. And I was so afraid to go above that $2,000 mark. And then as soon as I did, I realized that people were a lot more likely to take me seriously and that people were looking for a $2,000 to $3,000 wedding photographer. And anything below that, they weren't even going to look at, they weren't even going to book. So that's what I learned kind of firsthand. So yeah, don't be afraid to step up your prices. Every wedding you book, maybe go up $100, $200, whatever it might be. Rob says, just became full-time this year with 26 weddings. Congratulations. And I would say, this is a shameless plug. Well, I'm happy that I could help out. And yeah, I don't know, maybe if people are watching this, if you want to go get the courses, it's really inexpensive in terms of what you get. Sign up right now, $40, you get everything. You get it all. You get instant access to it. It's monthly. Also, I would say if you are in maybe the beginning stages of your career, sign up for the year. If you sign up for the year, I forget exactly what the monthly cost is, but I think it comes down to $20 a month if you sign up for the annual, and then you only pay one time and you pay again next year if you want to stick around. Otherwise, I feel like a year is a good amount of time to absorb all the content because there is a heck of a lot of stuff over on the website. James Pierce says, shoot great weddings and what you want to shoot more of. So basically, if you are approached to the wedding and it's on a Saturday and they only want 2 hours of coverage and they have a $300 budget and they're a year and a half out, maybe don't book that wedding. Maybe that's a thing you take if it's a last minute, but don't take that wedding in place of a full day wedding that'll actually pay you a lot of money and get you the couples that you probably want. James also says, and be awesome on the day. Don't order people around. Just be the chill person that does not add any stress to the day. If you got to come in, you got to put that family photo together and everybody's drunk and it's a little bit of a challenge. Do that, but then go back to being a regular, reasonable human being that's just there to photograph someone's party. I feel like that's a good mindset to be in. Next up, Lisa says, pay your sales tax because if you wait, you'll have a hefty bill to pay. I would also go maybe next level with this and say that if you become a full-time photographer and you're well on your way, to think about incorporating and you get much better tax incentives. I think in pretty much every country. In Canada, there's a heck of a lot of things you can do with an incorporation. Your tax rate comes down. In the States, because of previous governments, I feel like they made the tax laws for people that make good money pretty lenient. So there's a lot more options for you if you live stateside. Steven says, figure out quickly what type of marketing works for you. And someone said Insta. So yeah, basically Instagram does not work for you. It's not something that you like. There are different marketing channels out there. And the thing is that if everyone is trying to market themselves on Instagram, all of a sudden that leaves a lot of space for the other avenues, such as I would say primarily SEO and also being on Instagram, but not necessarily spending the money, but always uploading and tagging the venue and also being in the venue, the location tag as well, are all great things to do. And also always be creating as much value as you possibly can. I feel like that's kind of the key. I feel like my wrist is a little bit weird. I don't really know how to hold this thing. I don't want to clip it on here because then I look ridiculous. Josh says, wedding photography is 40% business, 50% customer service, and 10% actual photography. I feel like this is 100% true. Unfortunately for us, is if you got into this for the love of photography, definitely do what you can to learn business. I feel like this is one of the keys that I learned early on, and maybe this leads into a few of my closing tips here. And the thing that I think that really helped me out was finding audiobooks that I really enjoyed listening to and just listening to them for probably 4 years straight. Not the same book, different books. But I think I consumed pretty much every business audiobook, had a recommendation from a friend or a pretty good rating, or was from an author that maybe I'd watched some content or listened to a podcast on. And I absolutely immersed myself in business learning, not necessarily just wedding photography only, but everything when it came to business, because I had so many gaps that I had to fill in. And I will fortunately say probably after that 5 years, and obviously your business is still growing. You don't got to wait to the end of your learnings to launch your business. But every single week you learn something else. You tweak your website in a different way. Maybe you interact with couples in a different way, or your emails are structured differently. Or you learn those small key pieces, like adding maybe a little bit of time sensitivity to a deal that you're offering to a couple that they'll save the tax if they book before the end of the month. There are all kinds of little things that you can learn from different areas. And I feel like we get stuck in this echo chamber of wedding photography, especially here on YouTube and in podcasts, where it's just kind of the same information that's been since like Becker originally taught all this stuff in 2007, 2006, maybe even before then. But a lot of his information, you probably don't even know Becker right now, but a lot of his info that he put out there into the world, I feel like just kind of kept being recycled because he was one of the biggest educators in wedding photography for a brief minute there. And I feel like a lot of the content that I'm still hearing about today, obviously things change with technology, but for the most part, everyone's kind of teaching the same thing. So go outside of that. So find things in those books that work for you and that make your business and your life a little bit better. I will also say, going into a few more things that I wish that I would have known, I think I did learn this one pretty early on, and it was that outsourcing was going to be a key piece of my business, that I knew that I didn't want to be editing 9 to 5, that I wanted to do this to escape 9 to 5, not to make myself a 9 to 9 business, which it very easily could have been. Outsourcing, I've been through all of the options, I think, and currently Imagen AI is ridiculously good for editing. Aftershoot really helps out with culling and getting numbers down. They're not just like a click a button and your wedding's culled, but they get you down to a number of images that is a lot easier to go through. And then Photographers Edit also, if you want a human being to do your work, to edit your images or to cull your images, that's a good option as well. Or you can hire somebody. What I discovered was that we hired, I'm going to say I've probably used 10 different in-house editors over my career, and I did discover that they have a bit of a burnout period. So while they're usually awesome for a year, sometimes that's kind of it, that you know that it's kind of a boring thing to just sit there and edit wedding images all day. So hire and know that that might be the case, and don't take it personally if they do decide to leave and not edit wedding photos or look at a wedding photo ever again in their lifetime. And my last tip for this video, and I'm sure that this is one that you've heard 1,000 times, and it is because it is the most important tip, I believe. It is to be always in control and building your own portfolio in the direction that you want it to be. Basically, you set out right now and you try to generate your own dream portfolio, but just by yourself. Don't wait for it to organically come to you. Don't wait for those couples to come in. Get out there every single week and do a shoot that pushes you a little bit closer to that. Whether that means you're doing a shoot at a pizza shop and your couple is making pizzas together, or that means that they go to the pub, or that means that you go to some beautiful mountain landscape if you have something that's local to you, or you fly somewhere and you spend the money and you hire a couple. And there are so many options. Or you can come to our Banff workshop where we just do all this for you. The couple's just there. And also you get some amazing instructors. This isn't a sales pitch for it, but you can come if you want. It's going to be pretty awesome. But always be building your dream portfolio. I still do this to this day. Anytime I travel anywhere, I'm trying to set up shoots. Sam Hurd is maybe even a more prime example of this, that I don't know what happened over the past couple of months, but every single place that he went, he set up like 50 shoots. Like when we were in Rome together, I think he probably had 20 shoots in Rome. It was quite wild. And he generated so much content, again, in the direction of his dream portfolio that he wants to continue. Even though he's at the top of the top, he's still continuing to build his portfolio. So maybe if there's any lesson in there, it could be that. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and go get the free preset pack if you like free presets, because there's free presets in that. See you next time.